Hello, testing. Oh, good. Okay, you can talk then. And so, what we thought we'd do is we'd like to just kind of talk to you for 5 or 10 minutes about what's new, or tell us all about what you're thinking, and we'll record that. And then we can stop and talk business about how to get your book, whatever, how to physically get it done.
Look out there. The dog's gonna
Oh, he's kind of freaked
knock.
out by us, huh?
Oh.
I'm sorry, doggy.
That's,
Okay.
no, that's all right.
Okay.
See
Doggies.
these pictures here. See, this is Admiral Kimmel's communication force before the war, and this is after. This picture here is several days after the raid, and we got the ones that were teaching. We're running a school because at the beginning of the war we didn't have communication people, and so we were graduating about 60 of the new recruits every 30 days, and we just gave them just the bare essentials because we didn't have time. Now, I got a call from the skipper of the Wyoming atomic submarine. And he is having an anniversary in Casper, Wyoming. And because I checked out on the tower at the beginning of the war, our submarines weren't any good. And it was a sad thing for me to do, to say goodbye as they went by me on the tower and going out to sea because they're not going to come back. And so in Pearl Harbor today, where all the plaques of the submarines that was lost in the Pacific, that's where I hold all my events that when I'm down there. And the skipper of the Wyoming, because I was the one that checked them out, or the crew checked them out as they left Pearl Harbor, he wanted me to come back and talk to the crew and tell them what happened on those days. It wasn't until the third year into the war that we got the submarines so they could sink Japanese ships. And so nothing was sunk until the third year in the war. All the rest of the time, our submarines never come back. And so that's what all those plaques are.
Yeah, the submariners are a special breed.
When I first went into Pearl Harbor, the old Dolphin was the training ship of the Pacific Fleet. And I got the bug, I might like to be a submarine sailor. So one day I talked to the skipper and he said, come on out with us. I went out there and he made a little dive of about 40 feet and the water was already coming through the seams of that submarine, and I lost all urge to be a submarine sailor right there. I never bothered him about going again. But the pictures that you're looking at here is just what I've accumulated over the years at Pearl Harbor and the speeches that I've made around the country. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful life for me to tell the Pearl Harbor story, and if they want to talk about the invasions of the Pacific, sure, I'll talk about them. But because I was there 180 feet in the air on the communication tower at Pearl Harbor on the day of the raid, that's what I want to tell about. Because I'm the only one now that's alive to tell the Pearl Harbor story from that vantage point.
Wally, walk around and point to that then for us, please. Thank you, sir.
This tower right here is the tower that I was on. But the tower that I was on in those days was just a drab, old water tower and no color, no nothing, and a little shack up on top of it. 6 foot or 8 foot square right in the middle of this tower. And we just had open air all the way around. So we was out to the weather all the time. That's all. Now it's a very modern communication force. It bursts every ship that comes into Pearl Harbor. This tower is 125 years old, and it has birthed every ship that ever came in to Pearl Harbor. If you happen to come to Pearl Harbor and you are on the left side of the plane as you come in to make your landing, if you look over to your left, you will see this tower standing up there, red and white. You'll be able to see it from the side of the plane. Admiral Harris is the Admiral of the Pacific Fleet at this time, and he'll be going back to, I hope he'll be going back to his last assignment in the Pentagon very soon. These pictures that you're looking at here is a Freedom Bell that was made from the debris of 9/11. And then 3 years ago, I introduced this bell to Pearl Harbor. And this is Admiral Harris right here. These are my guests, and this is Admiral Roughhead, and he, at that time, I'm saying goodbye to him because he is going to the Pentagon. Now this is the Helena here. This is my tower here, down here. See this small smokestack in here between? This is, the Helena was here, the smokestack, and me. And a man from Jamestown, I found out where he was a few months ago and looked him up. But when he was firing at the planes coming by me here, he shot the top off in this smokestack. And I didn't find him until just a couple years ago, or a couple months ago, or a few months ago. And I took him back to Pearl Harbor with me for the first time in 75 years. And I let him stand where I stood on that tower when he shot that stack off. And by him shooting that stack off, he might have saved my life, because we're in direct line and I could have been killed at that time. He was on the Helena, and the Helena had a torpedo come in underneath the Ogallala. The Ogallala was a repair ship, and it was setting alongside, and it came through underneath and hit right about maybe 100 feet back from the bow. And the concussion broke the seams on the Ogallala, and the Ogallala rolled over and went to sleep. That's the story that I tell. Because then we took the Helen and pulled it away. Oh, we took it back the other way and took it away, and the Ogallala went ahead and rolled over. Now, you can't believe that this time, when we went to Pearl Harbor on December the 7th this year, that stack had not been repaired. And when we got up on the tower to look at, here all the rigging is up there, and after 75 years, he got to see the stack shot off, and they're repairing it after 75 years. These are just, here's a shot of the Ogallala laying sideways where the Helena sat. This shot here is Joan and I at Pearl Harbor, and we're making a burial on the Utah. Here is Admiral Harris as of today in his office as of today. This shot here is in the 65th anniversary of Pearl Harbor when Tom Brokaw and there's Tom right there. And there's me. And this is the governor of Hawaii. But on that day, he introduced me as one of the greatest generations. And this is just the Freedom Bell. Here, on this shot here, Joan and I are walking through the Walk of Fame. And every year at Pearl Harbor, I walk through the Walk of Fame.